Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're trying to make a decision, but you just can't seem to figure out what's right or wrong, or maybe you've come across a complex issue that you just can't seem to fully understand? Well, that's where the art of critical thinking comes in. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information and arguments objectively, to understand complex issues with clarity, and to make informed decisions based on your own judgment and reasoning. It's about using your own mind to think for yourself, rather than just accepting what you're told or what you already believe. So, why is critical thinking important? In a world where information is constantly bombarding us from all sides, it's crucial that we have the ability to separate fact from fiction, to distinguish good information from bad. With critical thinking, we're better equipped to navigate the overwhelming sea of information that surrounds us and make decisions that are in our best interest. According to Aristotle, the renowned philosopher and logician, the art of critical thinking involves using logic and reason to arrive at conclusions that are supported by evidence. He emphasized the importance of examining arguments and evidence objectively, with a focus on the truth, instead of simply accepting claims without scrutiny. Aristotle believed that critical thinking was a lifelong pursuit, crucial for making wise decisions and living a virtuous life. He believed that when we want to make a good decision or figure something out, we should use our brains and think carefully about it. This is what he called critical thinking. When we use critical thinking, we look at all the facts and information we have, and we try to understand it in a smart way. We don't just believe everything we hear, we make sure it makes sense and is true. For example, let's say you're trying to decide what to have for dinner. You could just eat whatever your mom tells you to eat, or you could use critical thinking and think about what you feel like eating, what's healthy for you, and what you have in the fridge. This way, you make a better decision because you used your brain and thought about it carefully. It's not just about evaluating information. Critical thinking is also about being self-aware and understanding how our own experiences, biases, and values influence our thinking. By being mindful of our own perspectives, we can make evaluations that are more impartial and objective. But critical thinking is more than just a set of steps or rules to follow. It's an art form, a way of thinking that requires us to use our judgment and reasoning to make sense of the world around us. It's about the ability to think for ourselves and not just accept what we're told. And that's what makes critical thinking so powerful. With critical thinking, we have the ability to solve problems with ease, to understand complex issues with clarity, and to make informed decisions that truly reflect our values and beliefs. It's a lifelong journey, and like any art, it takes practice to master, but the rewards are worth it. How do we start our journey as critical thinkers? The first step is to become aware of our own thinking. This means being mindful of our own experiences, biases, and values, and how they influence our perspectives. Once we have this awareness, we can start to evaluate information objectively, without letting our own beliefs cloud our judgment. Evaluate the information we receive. This means examining the sources, considering the context, and looking for evidence that supports or refutes the claims being made. By doing this, we can determine whether the information is trustworthy and whether it truly reflects the reality of the situation. Once we have a solid understanding of the information, it's time to start evaluating arguments. This means looking at the reasoning behind the claims being made, considering the evidence that supports them, and identifying any flaws or weaknesses in the argument. By doing this, we can determine whether the argument is convincing and whether it stands up to scrutiny. Finally, it's time to make our own decision. This means weighing the evidence, considering the arguments, and using our own judgment and reasoning to reach a conclusion. This is where the art of critical thinking truly shines, as we're able to make informed decisions that reflect our own values and beliefs. But critical thinking is not just about reaching a conclusion. It's about the journey, about the process of evaluating information and arguments, and about the growth and self-awareness that comes from that process. So, don't be afraid to think critically. Embrace the art of critical thinking and let it guide you on your journey to a more informed and mindful life.